Hey, it's the good folks at Comics for Fun and Profit reminding you that nobody Patreons like we Patreon. So join us at C4FAP and go over to Patreon slash Comics Fun Profit and sign up at a level of your choosing. There's various tiers with various goodies for you. Something that everyone gets at any level is you get to be a part of our Slack channel community. And you get early and ad-free access to all our episodes. But wait, there's more. So go over to Patreon slash Comics Fun Profit and check out all we have to offer. We urge you, sign up today.
Aloha! This is Jason from Hawaii. Welcome to a special edition of the Comics for Fun and Profit podcast. In this episode, I will be interviewing Eisner and GLAAD nominee and Ringo winner Joe Corallo. He is here to promote The Never Ending Party. It is a 5-part Comixology originals that he co-wrote with Rachel Pollack. Now, listeners Joe, correct me if I'm wrong. Rachel wrote the Vertigo Doom Patrol back in was it the 90s, 2000s, something like that?
In the early mid 90s, yeah.
Okay, all right. Now, the first issue of the Never Ending Party is the first 2 issues of the Never Ending Party is out on Comixology right now. Issue 3 comes out on August 2nd. Joe, welcome to the Comics for Fun and Profit podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks, and thank you for having me.
No, Joel, thank you very much for coming on the show. Thank you very much. And listeners, I already told Joe this, and I told him I am not being sarcastic. So, Joel, please forgive me if I accidentally call, if I accidentally call The Never Ending Party by another title, The Never Ending Story. I'm sorry if I do that during the interview. Sorry about that.
It's okay, no problem.
All right, Joe, I'm just going to go over a brief history of your comic book work, and correct me if I'm wrong, and please feel free to add anything to it. So,
Sure.
all right. So I know, Joe, you have written She Said Destroy and Beckstar. You also co-wrote Seeds of Eden, and you are the co-editor on the horror anthology From a Wave Blue World, both volumes Deadbeats and Deadbeats London Calling. And I know this is audio, but I want to show them that I did get it. I love this is great. I love this. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No, yeah. And let's see. I know I'm missing a large chunk of your work. Is there any particular work that you are proud of that you want listeners to know about?
Well, I would definitely point to the Mine anthology to benefit Planned Parenthood. I co-edited with Molly Jackson. That's still available now. All the proceeds go to Planned Parenthood. It's you can get it on Comixology. You can get it on Amazon. You should still be able to order it through your local comic shop.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, okay. So before I start the interview, I want to give a big shout out to Pamela Horvath of Superfan Promotions for setting up this interview and also giving me an advanced copy of issue number 1. So Pamela, thank you very much. Joe, do you want to add anything to this?
No, I mean, Pamela's great. She's been great to work with. I got to work with her a little bit before on another Comixology series that I edited, I didn't write, called Lost on Planet Earth with Max Asagio and Claudia Guerre. And that is available through Dark Horse in trade, so you can buy that physically. And
Okay, all right. Okay, so where can listeners follow you on social media?
The best places are probably Twitter, which is just at Joe Corallo, and Instagram at Corallo Joe. Okay. So those are the 2 places you can usually find me. I don't really post a lot on Instagram, but I get tagged in things. I share them and stuff like that. And I'm on Twitter. I don't tend to tweet outside of promoting books or the occasional joke here and there, but I'm on there. So.
Okay. All right. So, Joe, where did you grow up?
I grew up on Long Island.
Okay. And then, what was or were your first comics that you read?
I mean, if we're, it's interesting because I mean, like it all depends on the definitions of this, that, like
Yeah.
you all start with like picture books and stuff like that. I know some
Yeah.
people consider different things, but I think a lot of kids, especially my age, older, and younger too. I mean, those like little golden books and all that. But
Yeah.
I loved, the newspaper. We got Newsday, and
Yes.
they would put in like Garfield. I always liked reading Garfield, and
Mm-hmm.
Peanuts, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because I guess it's like technically, if you want to do like the genesis of comics here, I used to like reading the Garfield strip, and then there was
Yes.
also like Saturday morning Garfield cartoon.
Yes.
So I guess that was like the first like real comic to cartoon character that I really connected with. Although another thing too, as a kid, I didn't realize it. You don't realize everything as a kid, it turns out. But I loved Smurfs when I was little. My parents used to tape Smurfs for me and stuff like that. It was a cartoon, but that started as a comic. And at the time I didn't know that. For example. So yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. And then this is an off-the-cuff question. Do you remember your first local comic book shop that you went to buy comics?
I the one I remember best, because there were a few that I would go to occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
There was one, I'm blanking on the name because it hasn't been there for a couple of decades now.
Yeah.
But there used to be one I would go to that was in Hicksville on 107 next to a car dealership. It was like a little strip mall. And I went there. I think that was the first one I really remember going into.
Yes.
And when I was getting Sonic comics, because I would normally go to there was a Conway stationery, that's what it was called in town. I could like walk there and get stuff at the stationery store, because they had all sorts of Archie and Sonic and things like that. But
yes.
The one I remember when I would go to like more like regularly was Captain Comics in Plainview, which is also not there anymore. But I had friends who would work there. I had 3 different friends I knew over the years who had worked at that shop.
Yeah.
So that was like the first one that I really remember like going to for the purpose of, and I was going to that shop a little bit at the time, but in terms of when I had a car and I could drive myself places, like that was like the comic shop I started going to.
Ah, that's nice. Off the cuff question before we start jumping into the never ending party.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about writing reaching out to whoever, I don't even know who's publishing Sonic the Hedgehog. I think it's Archie still. But anyway, have you ever thought of reaching out and just doing like a limited Sonic the Hedgehog series or anything? I'm just asking.
I mean, no. I mean, I'd love to tackle Sonic in one form or another at some point, but I know that it's in good hands over at IDW. I haven't read all of it. I did read the first hardcover collection, which is like the first 12 issues. I've read so far, and I've enjoyed it. But I'm probably going to keep getting those. I know the second volume's out now. I'll get it at some point, but I do really like what they've been doing with Sonic so far.
Oh, okay, all right. Now, how did your journey started working in comics? Like, how did you break into comics?
It's interesting because I mean the way it kind of happened was through having an interest in comics and then talking to some people. I had a couple of different friend groups. One from like high school and then one in college that wanted to collaborate on ideas for like superhero-esque kind of like animation pitches and things like that. So, I'd done that for a little bit. It never really went anywhere. It was a lot of like, there was some planning, some ideas, and, things were written out, but, it didn't go anywhere. So after doing that for a bit, I decided around 2010 I was going to come up with, sort of things I could do myself. And I liked, I like comics and all that. And comics were a feasible thing. It's like, I want to do something. I'll get something out there. I really like the medium, so I started with that, and then it wasn't until that's yeah, starting to do that stuff 2010. Didn't really self-publish anything till 2011, and then didn't get published through someone that wasn't me until like 2015. So yeah.
Oh, okay. And then now we are here in 2022. I'm going to start talking about the Never Ending Party. Now, for our listeners, can I ask you, can you tell us what is the story about?
So, there's a few different ways I think you can interpret the story, but the main focus is I came up, sort of with the beginnings of the idea, because I thought it would be something that would work well with Rachel, and I reached out to Rachel, and then we fleshed out the rest of it together. Sort of came up with everything. I wanted to do something that kind of blended things we were both interested in. I mean, she obviously being a tarot expert. We have the character Mindy Morrow who leads into a lot of that, and bringing in God's mysticism, Greek mythology. I mean, she was an expert on all of that stuff. And my introduction to sort of the ideas of queerness really came from being sick and staying home from school, like elementary school, things like that. And there's only so many things on TV during the day, like when you're sick on the couch. When you're sick on the couch in 1993, 94, there was only so many things, especially when it's basic cable. It's
and the Maury Povich, the soap operas. God, I think that's basically dominated the networks. And okay.
So when you're like 8 or 9, you're too old for because we had very basic cables, so had Nickelodeon and things like that. But like so I'm too old for like the Nick Jr. stuff that's designed for like preschoolers and stuff who just aren't going to school yet. But I'm too young to really be that interested in like Oprah and things like that. So every once in a while, I'd see something like, Geraldo Rivera used to have a daytime talk show.
Oh my God, yes.
And so sometimes, I'd watch that. Not that I think I really understood most of what was going on at the time or the topics or this and that, other than like, these people seem like they're in trouble. But
I don't mean to laugh because Joe, I understand because it's always hey, we're here to talk about da 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 da, and all of a sudden someone starts 15 minutes in, someone starts yelling at somebody, they're in each other's faces, and it's
he famously got a chair thrown at him that was reenacted by Weird Al in the movie UHF. But yeah, so he had on multiple times the club kids like Michael Alec and those guys. And Michael Alec later went on to be convicted of murder, and he had murdered another club kid, Angel, and then he got out of prison, I want to say a couple of years ago, and then actually died shortly after. But there was so seeing them like and like RuPaul was part of that circle. So like RuPaul would be on there, and that was like my introduction to RuPaul, was RuPaul being on like Corallo, talking about the nightclub scenes. And so I was thinking about that stuff, that era, what happened around when Michael Alec had killed Angel, and it lines up with like the Vertigo era of like DC Comics, like the mid-90s in both instances, and that's when Rachel was doing a lot of stuff over at DC. So I thought it would be interesting to sort of like combine that, have Rachel be involved, like talk about like that era, and then jumping to the present, which also like kind of poetically ties up how this is really Rachel's first like series in 25 years. She had a one-shot of Tomahawk, which I believe came out in 98. But again, we was talking about long form, something that wasn't like a one-shot or an anthology piece. So this is her longest work in 25 years. So, I thought that would be an interesting sort of way to go about it.
Mm-hmm. So, before I continue, I'm just going to ask. I know you mentioned you reached out to Rachel. Did you and Rachel have you guys known each other for a while? I just wanted to know how you guys know. So
I read her run on Doom Patrol probably about 7 years ago, something like that, and ended up emailing her, like a fan email because there's a website.
Oh yeah, okay.
And within like a day, she emailed me back, and we started correspondence.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, we've gotten to be friends. I've seen her when she's come down to New York. I visited her up she's upstate, so I've gone up there a few times. And I had gotten to work with her a couple of times. She had a story in that first Deadbeats anthology.
Oh, okay.
That was me bringing her in with Richard Case and John Workman to have a sort of Doom Patrol reunions. As three of them did work on a few issues together.
That's nice.
Yeah, and then and she also had a story in the Mine anthology. I wanted to make sure she was in that. And so we got into work on some smaller scale stuff. I wanted to do something a little bigger with her involved. And yeah, that's how that sort of came together. But we consider each other friends. And, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So couple of things I want to ask you about, because, and I'm sorry, and listeners, I told you, I'm sorry, I know the second issue's out. I just only read the first issue. Let's see. Can you go over a little bit of the characters? I know about Mindy. And also too, I love issue number 1, how there's that one panel that introduces everybody, the players, like Mindy, Lulu, Dawn, Kate. And I think later on in after 1995, I think is it Mindy's girlfriend, Flava? Is that her name? I hope I'm pronouncing Flavia. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Flavia.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. Yeah, but yeah. So can you just kind of go over who the characters are, if you don't mind?
Sure. I mean, the important characters to keep in mind for this are Mindy Morrow is the we're mostly seeing the story through her.
Yes.
So she's a tarot expert herself, but and she's sort of a good friend. She had used to date Lulu,
yes,
who I don't want to go too much into all the stuff with with how the first issue ends, but her and Lulu used to date, and then something had happened, and she had been gone, and Mindy's sort of been moving on with her life, and Flavia was a friend of hers from 25 years ago, and they're currently living together. Flavia was someone who was in a relationship with Skytani.
Yes.
And he was also part of that crew, but that their relationship, didn't work. Where we hint at that, it eventually got abusive and things like that.
Yes,
so, so Tommy's another character that we also get to see what he's gotten up to in the years that have taken place since then. Then you have Kate, who was kind of the rich kid who kind of was able to afford either owning a club and throwing these sort of parties and all of that, and kind of used her money as a reason why she should kind of dictate what they do and what kind of fun they have and all of that. So she's so there's some tension there between her and the rest of everyone. And there's the character of Dawn, who was someone else who was closer with Lulu, more of Lulu's friends. A lot of them were really more of like Lulu's friends that Mindy got to know after Lulu and her were dating. But Dawn really stayed, was always close with Lulu, and Flavia kind of got closer with Mindy. Those are really sort of the core characters early on. There's also Chris, who we'll learn more about
Mm-hmm.
over the course of the story. But he's someone else who is part of that group.
Mm-hmm.
And the other really important characters here are, Dionysus himself, the guy,
Yes, that's right.
is a character,
Mm-hmm.
and we really get to flesh out the character. We made some, interesting choices. I think we're always portraying Dionysus as very tall,
Mm-hmm.
but like at least like a full head and shoulders over everyone else.
Yes.
Things like that were done.
Mm-hmm.
Very particularly. There's also little bits, definitely like in issue 3, where we lean into certain aspects of Dionysus that if you're really scholared in Greek mythology like that, you might catch some of that stuff.
Oh, that's really good. That's interesting. That's really great. Sorry, Joe. I'm gonna pick a scene, actually, because in issue number 1, the Arcane Club in 1995. Now, I'm not gonna. I don't want to try to spoil it too much, but because the club has your regular club, and there's that special VIP back room.
Mm-hmm.
When I read that scene, it was like, wow, that's just crazy,
Mm-hmm.
But I have to just ask, was that scene kind of influenced by the Blade movie? Because in the Blade movie,
Mm-hmm.
you know which scene I'm talking about, one of the opening scenes.
Oh yeah, the blood rave scene.
Yeah.
No, I didn't draw any particular influence from that scene,
Okay,
but I have seen the movie.
Yeah.
Like I'm aware of it. Someone had also brought up, this was in like a review of the book, Queen of the Damned, which is
I never saw it. Yes.
another element too. Which again, it's like I've seen it. It wasn't a particular influence necessarily in that scene. That said, I don't know, like that could have influenced Ava Cabrera when she was illustrating it or anything like that. I haven't actually asked her on some of the different things that might have influenced her, but yeah, no, it's all interesting ways to go for that. Yeah.
Now, you brought up Ava, your artist. So how did you and Rachel team up with Ava?
Well, I had worked with Ava on volume 3 of Kim and Kim.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to work with her a bit in some anthologies, and I've gotten to be friendly with Ava, so I was aware of her schedule. We keep in touch, so I knew that there was an opening we could take there, and yeah, it worked out, and I think that to date at least, it's some of the best work I've seen her do.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. I have to point out this funny scene I love in the first issue. I think it's first or second page where we see the shot of the club, the first part of the main club, and in the background, whose idea was it to put a chicken head over someone's while someone was dancing? Who came up with that idea?
That was me. That was a reference to one of the club kids at the time. That there was a guy dressed like a chicken.
Yeah.
And there's a few other sort of club kid inspired outfits in the background there, and you'll also notice some characters that look like you see I don't want to get too much into it, but there's a few characters that look like you might recognize if you enjoyed some Vertigo comics and things like that. So.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I have to reread that. I have to reread issue number 1 again.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna now, since you mentioned Ava, your artist, I'm gonna ask, do you want to give a shout out to the rest of your creative team that for this series?
No, of course. I mean, she's great. Noah Shorma has been great as the editor. Co-writing something especially something that doesn't exist yet. So it's not like there's no like story Bible or anything we can go to see how the characters. We're the creators of those characters, so it's so having someone there to make sure everything's smoothed over and all the characters sounds the same through the story. And he was excellent in catching every little detail in the art. I mean, because Ava would do a lot of things like put earrings, necklaces, all these accessories, and Noah had a really good eye for if something dropped or if something wasn't maybe got missed in the coloring stage or something like that. And so that was all very well done on the part of Noah. And just someone to call and bounce back and forth certain things like, Rachel and I talked about this, and this is how we want to work, and he would sort of give his advice on like oh well, maybe you should do this instead, or like if you really have to do it that way, this is how you have to do it, like that kind of stuff. We had Conza Rosa colored the first issue, and then Claudia Guerre took over after that. But the coloring I really like. This I don't mean this as an insult. I like simple color palettes that pop, and there's a lot of fairly flat colors, but it's very like colorful. I think it really pops when you do it that way in the book, and that's really what I want to see, and they really do a great job with that. And then for the lettering, Zach Sam for the first issue, and then it was Micah Myers for the rest of it. Again, very, very easygoing. Weren't a lot of real problems or anything like that. They're very easy to work with. I've gotten to work with both of them in the past as well. So whether it be anthologies or editing different projects, because Zach was the letterer on Kim and Kim and Lost of Planet Earth, so I got to this was like So there were a lot of books I had already gotten to work with him on tight deadlines and things like that. And last, maybe not last, but Jude Viggins designed the logo. He did a great job with that. We went through and went over a few different designs and really nailed it down. The logo really pops for me. I really love it. I'm so glad we were able to work that out with Jude. And and then the rest of the people at Comixology, and I'll say, in particular, I don't want to leave anyone out, but definitely Chip Mosher, for being the reason it exists. He was the thumbs up, thumbs down guy if that was going to happen or not. He wanted that book to happen. So he has very recently left Comixology to pursue other opportunities, but the book very literally wouldn't have happened without him, and he was very supportive and worked with us to make sure the book got done. So absolutely have to give him proper credit, and also Bryce Gold, who's taken over for Chip since he left. Bryce had been there prior, and I'd gotten to work with him throughout putting the Neverending Party together. So he's been doing a great job, very easy going, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work with him through the release of this book.
Oh, okay. I'm going to slowly start wrapping things up. One thing I wanted to touch about the never ending party, because in the first issue, I noticed that there's a duality in the first issue, like the dance floor, the VIP room, the past of 1995, Mindy as a young partygoer. In the present, Mindy is more mature and in a stable relationship. I'm just asking, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, but I got the sense that one of the themes for this book is kind of like, and maybe I'm wrong to say this, but it kind of feels like the theme is kind of like something like there's it's kind of like something about either growing up or moving on.
Yeah.
Am I correct or am I wrong or?
Yeah, no, that was definitely something we were thinking about while putting this book together, about because we get to examine a lot of these characters and where they are then, where
Yes.
they are now.
Yeah.
That you can, we're playing with some ideas about you can grow up or you can mature without being a different person, because and sometimes maturing and growing up, you change and you can't help that.
Yes.
So there are those sort of things. We'll be tackling that with Mindy and Lulu over the course of the rest of the series in terms of where they were then, where Mindy is now,
Yes.
what it's like with her and Flavia now, what it was like then. So yeah, that's definitely a part of the series.
Oh, okay. No, thank you very much for answering that question.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm going to ask, is there anything else you want to add about the Never-Ending Party before I start wrapping things up?
Oh, I mean, I think this is going to be 5 issues and one issue every month. It's going to be the first Tuesday every month.
Oh, okay.
It is, it's a download. If you don't have Amazon Prime, it's $2.99 through the Kindle store. But if you have Amazon Prime, which many people do, it's free.
Yeah.
You've basically already paid for it with your Prime membership. So, please feel free to check it out. If you have Prime, it's a lot easier to just go on, click it to read, and you can read through it. And beyond that, we really worked hard to pack a lot in every issue. I think every issue has a lot going on. There's a lot of characters. There's a lot of playing with time. You'll see like the second issue, they go further back in time. They're in ancient Greece at one point. Okay. So you get to see a lot of that, and the stakes just sort of keep getting upped every issue. I'm really excited for people to get to issue 3. We really things really come to a head at that point. So yeah, but I like everything that we were able to do with this, but by issue 3, I think we really hit things really get out of hand, and I'm really excited to hear what people think about that.
Okay. I'm going to ask 3 more questions.
Sure.
What is the most fun or exciting thing you love working in comics?
I mean, a lot of it's the collaboration. A lot of it is, talking with people, going over things, getting the art.
Yeah.
And all of that. I mean, there's so much to it. But yeah, I think that getting to watch, the different stages of the pages over the course of making it's very, very exciting.
Yeah. And then, have you and your family been to Hawaii?
We've actually, trying to think. I know I haven't. I think 1 or 2 of my brothers probably have been. 2 of them, all 3 of them have traveled a lot. They're all in music, and 2 of them have traveled. In particular, playing in bands. But I myself have not made it out to Hawaii yet.
So the next Comixology original you're gonna pitch, you're gonna pitch it. You're gonna have it in your contract to have it set in Hawaii. You need to be in Hawaii for 6 months to really do research, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I have a friend from high school who lives in Hawaii.
Oh.
I think he still does.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of years since I checked in, but yeah, it's
that's pretty cool. Last question. Any closing words to our listeners?
I really appreciate people taking the time to listen, to what I have to say about anything. And yeah, feel free to check out not just, the Never-Ending Party. My other work's also available. You can check through Amazon.
Yes.
If you're not sure, you do get a few preview pages when you check it out. If you're interested in just seeing my writing for like a whole issue, but aren't quite sure about diving in or spending money yet, you can read the first issue of She Said Destroy for free on Vault's website.
Oh, okay.
So people can do that. But yeah, I mean, I hope people check this out. If not for me, for Rachel. Rachel has done a lot for literature, for tarot, for comics, and I hope people check it out and then go back and pre-order her Doom Patrol omnibus, which is finally getting released, and check out some of her prose work like Unquenchable Fire and Temporary Agency, which I think are just two fantastic novels.
Oh, okay. All right. Joe, mahalo. Thank you, and Hawaiian. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to interview. Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
I wish you all the success with the Never Ending Party. I also want to thank Pamela of Superfan Promotions for help setting up this interview. And if you are a new comic book reader or a lifelong comic book reader, please check out the Never Ending Party from Comixology. Issue 1 and 2 are out. Issue 3 comes out on August 2nd. And as Joe has mentioned, it's a 5-part series. And each issue drops on the first Tuesday of each month. So please check it out. I also want to thank Drew, the co-host of Comics for Fun and Profit, for putting this episode together. Drew, thank you very much for all your hard work behind the scenes. And if you are a new listener, please check out new episodes of Comics for Fun and Profit that comes out every Saturday. And thank you to the listeners. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to this episode. Until next time, guys, aloha.
Our LCS is Cowabunga Comics out of Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, and their mail order company, Deep Discount Comics. And we went there, and we were actually invoice number 00001. We were the very first their very first customer, which was kind of cool. They've been nothing short of fantastic, customer service wise. Discounts, they were very close, if not the same or better than DCBS on a lot of things. Over and above, customer service wise, always taking care of us, going the extra mile, so responsive, getting instantaneous responses back to questions about things, and to the point where knowing the stuff you like and anticipating your needs and having it suggested that you might want to add this to your order already before you even have to think about it. That's kind of cool. Really quality experience. So we love working with Cowabunga and Deep Discount, and that's why they're in our show notes every single episode, and have been for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes. That we leave them there because we like them. They're cool, good people. That's why they're in there. By God, they'd tell you to, if you've got a local comic book shop that you love, stay with them, because everybody needs to support their local comic shops. But if you're looking, check them out. You can check them out in the show notes. There's plenty of ways to get a hold of them. Either get on their list, just so you can check and see what kind of FOC and pre-order stuff they have and the discounts, and they'll send it to you each month, get you on that email list. And you can check out their shop, because they have a great shop of exclusive Cowabunga variants. Amazing stuff. Yes, they've always been there for us, and we take them for granted. So there you go. Now you know.